answer your garden questions and actually help you go through that journey of gardening. If you're here for the first time and you're wondering who the heck am I, my name is Frank Ferragini, aka Frankie Flowers of City TV's Breakfast Television. You can see me Monday through Friday on BT from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. As well, I am a lifetime gardener. My family has 2 garden centers, one in Bradford, one in Barrie, called Bradford Greenhouses Garden Gallery. I was at the home show today in Barrie, speaking there on how to grow your own food. And I was at the home show yesterday in Toronto, the National Home Show, speaking on the same topic. Coming up, I will be at the Spring Cottage Life Show. I'll be at the Burlington Home Show. I will be at the Milton Home Show. I'll be at the Oakville Home Show. And I will as well be at the Collingwood Home Show. I hope you guys all had a great weekend overall. And just before we get into kind of talking a little bit about warm weather, I really want to speak to you about some things that you should be looking out for when it comes to your garden and maybe your lawn at this time of the year. Yes, indeed, today we have some cooler temperatures, but really what we have is we've been having warmer temperatures. And with that, things have been kind of sprouting already. And so what should we do? Well, when it comes to things that are sprouting in our gardens, be it the spring bulbs or maybe some garlics that are popping their way up, there's really not a lot you can do or a lot that you should be doing. However, if we do start to see some things digging our lawn, being it skunks or raccoons, often what they're digging up for is grubs. First thing that we can do is put some blood meal down to distract them to move from the area. And then what we need to do is control the grubs. Grub Be Gone is probably the best product in the market to take care of that. We'll want to do that a little bit closer on. It's too early to put grass seed on. For anybody thinking about maybe sowing their seeds, I got that question asked to me this weekend. Way too early to be doing that. But it is the time to really be planning for your garden. I hope, by the way, as well, spring forward. Hope you guys went through time change all right as well. So we're just going to give a good shout out to Lacey. Good evening from Oshawa. We have another shout out this evening as well from Connie. Hi, Frankie. Happy Daylight Savings Day. We got my good friend Matthew saying hello as well. Dorothy. What's Dorothy saying today? As a millionaire who is living his best life, I was also suffering at time. I know how hard it is to pay. Oh, this is a person trying to spam. So Dorothy, we're going to say goodbye to Dorothy. We're going to block this user on Facebook, which I can do right there. And we're going to hide that away. So there we go. So it's amazing how some people will want to take opportunities and try to hop on here for their own selfish benefit, but we're here to help you. So the whole idea about this community, of course, is if you have some garden questions, if you're thinking about what should you be doing, ask the question here. You can ask it in the comments. We're streaming right now on Facebook as well as LinkedIn, YouTube, and as well as X. So pop in those questions. And if I don't get a chance to answering, the community will be able to answer as well. I want to give a shout out and also want to give a little bit of here we go. We got a question really quickly from Vera. Hi, Frankie. Brown spots on my snake plant. So we got a snake plant right here. That's just over. Well, you can just see the foliage. It's right there. Brown spots on your snake plant can be due to a couple of reasons. Probably the number one reason why we can see some rotting and or disease on a snake plant is due to overwatering. So too much water is the first thing. Reminder, that snake plant really likes to be dried in between waterings. So my snake plant sits here in a pot that's pot bound. I'm watering it maybe once, maybe twice a month, and not a whole lot of water at that time. Secondly, if it's near any heating vents, so the heat vents are coming on, that could also be causing those spots. Spotting and or tip burning can be also caused by a long period or duration of really lack of water. So overwatering could be one thing, underwatering could be another thing. What I would do and recommend is allow it to dry out in between waterings. Now that we are in the month of March, now our daylight hours are getting longer, hence daylight savings. And with that, you want to start fertilizing. So use an all-purpose fertilizer like a Miracle-Gro, and that would really help you out. The other key too is to look to that spider plant, which is also known as the mother-in-law's tongue, which is Sansevieria is its Latin name. That plant there, just make sure that there's no webbing that you see or any sticky substance on the leaves, which could be an indication of an insect. Got another shout out there from Andre today, or Andrea, forgive me. Hello, Frankie. We got Susan Rose. Susan, good evening from Whitby. My daughter would like to know your skin routine. She said yesterday that you have glass skin. Interesting. My skin routine is what my nana did. I, of course, moisturize, but I just use simple Nivea or Nevia or whatever the heck it is every night, and then drink lots of water. And I'm in high humidity a lot of the times. A lot of the times because I'm in a greenhouse, I'm in a humid environment, which really helps out as well. And of course, I just try to eat well. I think it's not just skin, but it's how you consume as well. Lacey, I'm living in a fourth floor apartment facing east. So that means you're only getting morning sun, so not a whole lot of light. What plants can I get for the balcony? And what is the kind of time to get them? So outdoor, we have to wait till we're frost-free conditions. What we'll be doing is waiting until mid-May for that. You could put a spathiphyllum, which is a peace lily, in a pot out on your deck and enjoy it during the summer season and bring it in the winter. It's a nice tropical plant that can get white leaves, nice big white flowers, that is, like has nice big green leaves, and really is a great plant that can be used outdoors. Of course, if you want to use something in a pot and see if it can overwinter, the hardiest perennial plant that would overwinter and give you a nice tropical foliage is a hosta. So any hosta varieties. Big Daddy would be one variety I would use because it'd be quite interesting in that space. For annuals, for color, impatiens are really good. So use the Beacon impatient, which would be the best variety for you. So those are a couple selections for you. My good friend Christine Wade. I haven't seen her in a long time. Hi, Frank. Almost spring. I fell behind in the fall and didn't plant my tulips. Can I do it soon or wait until next year? You can't plant tulips right now because, of course, they have to go through their dormancy period, their plunge period. So that's why it's a fall plant, and then they'll bloom in spring. The reason why we're planting in fall is so they go through that period of cold temperatures outdoors and darkness, being in the soil. So that dormancy period puts them into a plunge period. And so you can't plant tulips right now and expect them to bloom. It just won't happen unless they were already prepared, meaning that they were already forced to be in a plunge period, where they were put in refrigeration for a few months in darkness and cool temperatures. We got a shout out to Guelph this evening as well. Hi, Frankie, tuning in from Guelph. Bill Kennedy. Bill, safe travels this evening. It was great to see you at the Barrie Home Show. And as well, it was good to see the folks from Utterly Smooth come up and also speak about their product. If you guys think about skin routine, Utterly Smooth is a fantastic, fantastic moisturizing hand cream that for gardeners, you really need to think about. We got Sherry. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Frankie. Our neighbor has white freezer on the other side of our chain link fence. What do you suggest to plant to hide it? Oh, has a white freezer. Interesting. What do you suggest in order to plant to hide it? First thing that we want to do is to try to make sure that we're finding a plant that can hide it, that will grow in that area. So we need to know whether it's sun, shade, wind exposure, access to water. As well, it'd be great to see a picture of that area. There's many different flowering shrubs that would get to a height that could hide that into bloom, and that would look good. Maybe an evergreen as well. Sometimes just a pyramidal evergreen, like a pyramidal cedar, could be well, because then you wouldn't even see it in the winter. So the question is, if you're not going in your backyard in the winter, maybe a flowering shrub. But if you are going in your backyard in the winter, you need to put an evergreen there. So I would need to know what type of sunlight is in the area. So you can always go to Frankie at frankieflowers.com and you can ask me there. So we got another question from Tammy. When is a good time to put lawn feed for grubs on our lawn? Need to deter the skunks. So you're going to be doing the Grub Be Gone. I would be doing the Grub Be Gone in the beginning of May. That's when we're going to see the grubs a little bit further up in the surface, even though I don't think they've gone that deep. First thing that we're going to do on spring for a control or to treat our lawn would be a weed and feed, which would be a corn gluten grub control. So the Scott's Weed and Feed, Turf Builder Weed and Feed, that'll coat any weed seeds that are sitting there, like crabgrass. If you have a lot of crabgrass, that's when you want to put a corn gluten down. But a reminder, if you do put a weed and feed down in the early spring, you got to wait 6 weeks before you can put grass seed down to overseed, because it'll coat the grass seed. But once again, for grub control, we'll be waiting for the beginning of May. Sherry says lots of sun in that area. So if it's lots of sun in that area, you want a high growing flowering bush. Of course, you could maybe do a lilac, but lilacs are going to get quite big in that area. There are some other things like high bush cranberry. High bush cranberry can be pruned into a hedge. Nice fall color. That could work out really well for you as well. Perhaps you're even thinking of maybe even purple sanctuary. That's another one that's there for you as well. We got Blake Smith. Hey, Blake. Hi, Frankie. Love the show. Have a great night. Thank you for joining us. This is just me popping on, having some fun and answering some questions. Matthew's giving us a little movie recommendation. He saw Dune Part 2 this weekend. Have you seen any good movies? I haven't. I've been too busy. My friend Ashley Brown. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Frankie. Matheson and I were curious if I could, Maston, sorry. And I were curious if we could put down lawn fertilizer now, as we missed the last one before the snow came. Wait till you actually see your plants actively growing outdoors. As soon as we start to see leaves emerge on trees, that's when plants are actively growing. That's when I recommend putting a high nitrogen lawn fertilizer down to get it to green quick. You can do the Green Max, which is a really good one at that time. We got Anya, forgive me, contact Josie's Garden Landscape for a free quote. It's good. There you go. I love that you were promoting there as well. I'm going to give you a little bit of shine as well. So if you want, on Instagram, it's Gosia's Garden and Landscape. Check it out. I love promoting small business. Hi, Frankie. Winter is back in Wasaga Beach. However, it's back today because we have that northwesterly wind. But if we look towards this week, tomorrow we'll see temperatures in Wasaga about 4 degrees under mainly sunny skies. Getting into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back to double-digit highs. So winter may be back, but it's going to be very short-lived. Mitch, how do I add clover to my lawn, and will it do well with dogs? It'll take some time to actually maintain and establish itself. So it will do well after it's been established. You want to go to your garden center, independent garden center, look for white clover. What I would do is do a mixture of white clover grass and mix it with grass seed and apply it down to your lawn. Put a little bit of soil down. That would be very beneficial. You could actually take some triple mix and some peat moss and just put it all into a wheelbarrow, mix it all up. And you can even mix grass seed and then lightly rake that mixture, grass seed with clover, lightly rake that mixture over your lawn. And that's a great way that you can do it. Why would somebody want to put clover in their lawn? It's green, grows well in shade. It will take high traffic like a dog once established, and you can cut it with a lawnmower. So it works out really well. We got Ashley saying, greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated for you too. Sarvi, hello, Frankie. How all is well? Do something about the snow, buddy. Sarvi, I'll try my best. Sarvi runs a wonderful trucking company that's shipping fresh produce all over Ontario from the Bradford area. So give a shout out to Sarvi there. Good family friend of ours as well. Hi, Frankie, from Curtis, Ontario. Even though it looks like Cordis, it's Curtis. Make sure you say hello to the Witzke, Harold Witzke and Witzke's Garden Center. That's out there. Those are great family friends as mine as well. Okay, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about some trends here. Let's have some fun right now, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a report. This is something that I did for a bunch of greenhouse growers that just attended my family's business. Make sure that we go there. We're going to do this, push that button. Just got to be patient. Sometimes I lose my patience. There we go. So what are some things that are trending right now in people's gardens, and also what are people looking towards? Just let you know, that's a picture of my previous home, my backyard. That's beautiful limelight hydrangeas. I'm going to talk a little bit about hydrangeas in a bit. A couple things that are trending. First off, that I would actually say to you is that right now, of course, Gen Z, which are the Zoomers, the younger generation, one thing that they're looking for when it comes to anything in this world, sustainability. So, when we're going to the garden center, we may be looking for those plants that don't have plant tag because that's a single-use plastic. Maybe we're seeing them in a more environmentally friendly pot that they're planted in. And we know that they've been grown sustainably using biocontrols and that they really have the environment in mind. So support retailers that do so. Pollinators, bees and butterflies will continue to be something of vital importance. And you'll see a lot of people thinking, and you'll see a lot of different products and different plant material that will be promoted for bees and butterflies. If you're wondering what plant is that right there, that is lantana, a beautiful annual or tropical plant that actually, if you crush the leaves, has a beautiful citrus scent. Next up, vertical gardens. So with people having smaller spaces in their backyards, thinking about growing up instead of out for a smaller footprint, even thinking about wall gardens. So we can see right there is a collection of air plants, and we have some succulent plants as well with some moss, an attractive way to maybe make that fence that you have in your backyard that's just a blank space, make it look a little bit more attractive and more warming. Just a good stat, by 2050, 89% of the population will live in urban centers in the United States. That's a huge amount of people with smaller properties. Dark foliage plants, trending. If you're looking for something right now that people are really enjoying, and it's those dark, rich colors of not plants with flowers, but plants with foliage. That's an example of a coleus right there that has a little bit of a chartreuse green within it at the same time. Color of the year by Pantone is peach fuzz. So there's an example of a dahlia or dahlietta. That is a nice peach color. You'll actually see a lot of peach blooms in our garden centers for this year. Indoor plants outdoors. Those guys there, that's a calantula that's planted in the center of that container. But you can see using a tropical plant in a container is a great way to kind of add a tropical flair and make your little containers a little bit more interesting. Time savers, looking for ways to save time. Easy on the gardener. Raised beds is probably the perfect example of being easier on the gardener. You don't have to bend down as far. You can actually build them so that they're 4 feet in width. General size of a vertical garden should be 4 by 8, so 4 feet in width by 8 feet in length. Why 4 feet? Because you can bend over 2 feet. So if you want to bend over on both sides, anything that's a little bit wider than that will be harder for you to reach, so it's easier to reach. Food gardening continues to be on trend, especially with the price of vegetables today, and that's why I've been speaking about growing your own food. As well, value. People are going to be looking for deals this year, and I think that we will see some tremendous deals in the garden center. Once again, those packs, those plants that you see that you get 4 for the price of 1, those are great, which is a 12 of 4. You can see the coleus there too, that's in the 6-pack. So we can look at different ways if we need lots of plants, different ways to purchase. Some of the hot topics that we have for this year that are continuing to trend that people want to know more information about, and some of the topics that I've had a lot of people ask me about is, of course, hydrangeas. People love hydrangeas. I'm always amazed how much interest there are in hydrangeas, but also there are so many new great variety hydrangea. So if you have a hydrangea in your backyard that's not blooming, let's get you a better variety that's going to bloom for you. Orchids, of course, they're everywhere. They're available at a garden, or grocery store, home improvement store. They're a great gift, of course, that has a long bloom period. The dendrobium orchids, the phalaenopsis, are way better in terms of pricing. But if you want to give somebody a great gift, give them an orchid. Boxwood blight. Keeping an eye out on some of the boxwoods that we have in our backyards. If they're having little brown patches like that, you will want to educate yourself on boxwood blight and some of the boxwood leaf miners that are out there. There are diseases running rampant in boxwoods that are threatening. So educate yourself on that. And I will next week do a little bit of a talk on that for you guys as well. And then, of course, if you want more information from me, there it is. So there's a little bit of some information on some of the garden trends that are happening at this time of the year. And I hope you guys kind of enjoy that. We got another question here from Jenny Lynn. Hi, Frankie. I'm making all new gardens in a new house. I will be putting down garden fabric, then the soil on top of it. I like to grow some dahlias. Do I put the bulb under the fabric, or can I put it actually in the soil above the fabric? So we would want to put, the reason why we're putting fabric down is to reduce the amount of plants that grow on top. But generally what we do is we put soil and then we put fabric on top. And then wherever we're planting, we cut the fabric in a star pattern so that the plant can pop through the star pattern. And then on top of the fabric, we put mulch. So once again, it's soil, then fabric, then mulch. The reason why we're doing that is the fabric is allowing, it's landscape fabric, so it allows moisture through. It restricts the amount of weeds to pop up, and the mulch on top of it reduces the amount of light. So anywhere where we're planting a bulb, we just put a star pattern. So we just cut even an X, pop the bulb in the soil right there. I would start your dahlias indoors right now, and then you can plant the plants in. And then once you plant the plant in, that fabric just goes and falls right back by the stem. Then we put mulch around it, and that will reduce your weeding and make it more beneficial for you. Hi, Frankie from Innisfil. A shout out this evening from Dominica. How are you doing this evening as well? Sharon Lloyd, which is saying, good evening, back from Spain and Portugal. Lots of beautiful gardens. Alhambra and Sintra. I'm not familiar with those places. I need to learn a little bit more about Portugal as well. Ashley's asking about cacti. She got her kids some cactus. What is the best watering schedule or way to water? I would only be watering them once a month. And really all you need to do, because they're spiky, even if you were just to go into, even just to put them, if they're in a little green grower pot, just put them on even a small plate, just put a little bit of water in the plate, and that'll uptake it right into the cactus. And that's all you need to do. And just do that once a month, and that'll be totally fine for you. In terms of upcoming this week, so one thing that I would recommend, because we do have temperatures this week and even overnight temperatures that are going to be around 10 degrees, but in the overnight, low is about 5. So, and right now, buds have not cracked it, but they're sitting there. So a reminder, if you have fruit trees and you want to minimize disease and insect, now is the time to be applying a dormant spray kit. A dormant spray kit is a combination of lime, sulfur, and horticultural oils put together. When we spray that, it will minimize the amount of overwintering disease and insect. The reason why it's called dormant oil is we need to spray it when the plant or the tree or deciduous shrub is in dormancy. We can use this on roses as well. But if we spray it later on when everything's in foliage, we could do more harm than help. So the window of opportunity to use a dormant spray kit is when the temperature is at least over 5 degrees for 24 hours. So this week, we're going to have temperatures during the day in double digits, overnight lows around 5, and we also have sunny skies with no rain. That is an ideal for a dormant spray kit to be putting down. So that's just a reminder for some things that you can be doing as well. Dominica says, hey, doing good, thank you, but winter is back. As I mentioned, winter is only short-lived. If I look at the temperatures that are out there, where do you get dormant oil? Shima, you can get that. It should be available at places like Canadian Tire, Home Depot, Rona. Should be also available and will be available at your local garden center. You can also look it up online as well, and you might even be able to get it online. Best care for orchids. Orchids are a plant that grows in native lands in trees. So it grows in trees in areas like the Brazilian rainforest. So first off, it needs good air circulation. So even putting a fan in a room where your orchids is really important. It needs high humidity. That's why it's in a rainforest. So misting them on occasion and really only watering them when they're dry. So you're misting more than watering. If you have the foliage on your orchids that are deep, deep green, it's not a good thing. We actually want our orchids to almost have a little bit of a yellowish tinge to their leaf. And in order to get them to rebloom, we need to stress them, cut back on water, cut back on fertilizing, almost make them think that they're going to die. If you want more information on orchids, go to the American Orchid Society online, go onto Google, type in the American Orchid Society. There's a boatload of information there for you. It's probably better than the Canadian Orchid Society. So that's why I recommend it. Jenny Lynn has a little comment, just saying thank you, Frankie. Crystal is having a question and or comment this evening. Is my magnolia tree with buds on it going to be okay? We've been getting snow all day. Cranbrook, Ontario. It should be okay. If we were to get a temperature tonight of below -5 to -10, it's more so when it's -10, that could knock off those flower buds on the magnolia. But we should be okay with the temperatures, even though we're getting snow, even though we're getting cold. Plants have an ability to adjust themselves to actually thrive and survive. But as soon as we get cold temperatures that are around -10 and we do have some fresh growth, it can be harmful. So right now, where all eyes are not only on magnolias, but on fruit-bearing trees and even wineries, grape producers as well, are really keeping an eye on the temperature and hoping and praying that we don't get too cold during the overnight period that will cause harm on those plants. T-Bone is giving a shout out this evening as well. Good evening, Frank. Keep up the good work. Trying my best that's out there. I had a good weekend. For all those that came to last week to the Simcoe Home Show in Simcoe, Ontario, that came this weekend to the Toronto National Home Show, thanks for coming out as well. And for those that today came to the Barrie Home Show, thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you all. Tracy Donaldson is giving us a question. I usually start my seeds indoors at the end of March for veggies and herbs. What are your suggestions? Depends on veggies and herbs that you're growing. A lot of herbs grow better through a cutting. So rosemary will grow better with a cutting. Basil, I would grow by seed. Parsley, I would grow by seed. Oregano, you could do by cutting. Mint, you can do by cuttings. The seeds that I would start right now, like this week, are tomato and pepper seeds. At the end of March, I'd be starting your broccoli, your cabbage and kale at the end of the March. So what we're doing is looking at the pack of the seeds and seeing their suggested sow times. And generally, you'll see 6 to 8 weeks for, let's say, tomatoes and peppers before last frost date. 8 weeks. In 8 weeks from now, we should be without frost. So that's why we're sowing tomatoes and peppers right now. We got Kate Murphy. Hi, Frank. Do you have any suggestion for plants for a basement apartment? Easiest plant that will grow in low light situations would be the ZZ plant. Is probably the easiest one that would do for you. It won't grow in no light. So as long as you have some windows in your apartment, Spathiphyllum, which is peace lily, is good for lower light levels. Dieffenbachia is another plant that's good for lower light levels. Spider plant, they're decent in those areas as well. but you do need light. So if you don't have a lot of windows or hardly any windows, it's going to be a challenge for you to grow plants. But if you have some good natural light that's pushing in, the other option is you can put a grow light in, and a grow light can be purchased online. So you can even go to Amazon for some grow lights. So you can put them into some of your lighting units, and that can be a way to kind of have some indoor plants in areas with less light as well. Janice, I was just going to ask you that. Any tips, Frankie? I don't know what we were just going to ask. Kate says she does have some natural light. So once again, think about ZZ plant, which is Zamifolia, fantastic plant. Peace lily, Dieffenbachia, which is also known as dumb cane, and spider plant, and even pothos. Those are some great ones again. We got Ashley Brown. She's got kind of a question or comment. Wanted to know how much you inspire people. Maston picked up a crocus and had a bunch of flowers in a glass jar, and we put it in water and added to our table beside the cactus all on his own. I didn't even notice. It's, you know what, Ashley, I'm going to tell you, your kids are fantastic, but as well, it's really just great to get people out there and think about gardening, because I think if you grow plants, you'll feel so good. And a shout out to Ashley as well. Her family and her husband operate a small business in Orillia, Ontario called Crank and Sprocket. It's a bike shop. So promoting about kids getting outdoors and getting active. That's gardening. You can get out and outdoors and get active with gardening or riding a bike. More kids got to ride more bikes. Janice saying as well, pothos a good one. It's UV. It's a V understanding plant. It is really well. And pothos are quite inexpensive. You can do some very get them with a really little expense. Shima, you mentioned a plant for a vegetable garden to deter bugs, but forgot the name. Also, I do need to rotate my vegetables from where they were planted last year. You should always do crop rotation. The reason why we're rotating, so where we grew tomatoes this year, we'll grow lettuce this year. Where we grew lettuce last year, we'll grow tomatoes this year. The reason being is the tomatoes are taking some nitrogen and other fertilizers and nutrients out of the soil, maybe if there was a disease. So if we put the lettuce there, it'll use different types of food, nutrients out of the soil, and it'll actually put more back in. So we're rotating our crops to benefit the health of the garden and also to reduce the amount of disease and insects that we have that are out there. If you're looking for a plant to deter, rue, R-U-E, is a herb plant that will deter some different creatures that are out there, but as well, nasturtiums. Plant nasturtiums on the end of your vegetable garden. It's a host plant that will the insects will go and eat the nasturtiums and stay away, but nasturtiums also can be used as an edible flower. Matthew wants me to say a good shout out to Sid. I'll do that in the morning for you for sure as well. So you know what? I'm going to wrap with that, guys, even though we're just a couple minutes short of a half an hour. It has been a crazy, well, actually, I'll do one more here because I got a teacher question or comment. Tracy, I'm a teacher librarian, has 7 tower gardens growing in the school. Fantastic. Another great way to get plants growing and teaching children about healthy greens. If you teach kids how to grow something they can eat, they will eat better. Tower gardens are great. If you want to have a kid go to school, plant some seeds every day. They'll come back to see if their seeds germinate. And if they can watch that plant germinate and then all of a sudden actually eat some of that food that's on there, that's a great way to have kids engage in education and growing in something that's processed. So shout out to Tracy for something that's great. And a shout out to all those that joined me this evening. I'll be live tomorrow morning on Breakfast Television. I'll be live on BT on Tuesday afternoon. Devo and myself are flying to Universal Studios. We'll be shooting all day Wednesday, so you won't see us on air on Wednesday on Breakfast Television. We'll be back air live from Universal Studios in Florida on Thursday and Friday. I'll be flying home after that on Friday, so I'll see you here next Sunday, guys. It's a busy time. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you soon. Keep blooming and keep your knees nice and dirty. That's all, not your mind.